Have you ever wanted to be more intentional and sustainable as a wardrobe parent but didn't know where to start? Me too. Last year I started this little project I did called My Year of Make Do, where I vowed to not introduce any new items into my wardrobe unless I made them myself. That experiment went really well, and because of other commitments I had, I wrote a book last year, I didn't get the chance to really dig into the sewing part of that journey and really get into it. I definitely think that it helped me renegotiate my relationship with my clothes, and especially as somebody who's been trying to shop sustainably for a long time, I have been entrenched in the secondhand market, but it meant that I was still adding stuff. I had this anxiety about saving stuff from landfill, and it felt like it was my responsibility, and I ended up kind of over consuming secondhand clothes as well. And so this wardrobe challenge was a way of me trying to slow down what I added to my wardrobe and made sure it was stuff that I genuinely wanted and would fit my body and my life. Enter, stage left, my sewing addiction, which I have documented heavily on this channel since teaching myself during lockdown how to sew with a child's sewing machine. And sewing is a big part of me trying to be more intentional about my clothes, because I don't know if you've ever tried to sew a piece of clothing, but one, it's not that cheap most of the time, and two, it's very time consuming. So there's a very big difference between me seeing something on Vinted, clicking buy, or seeing something in a shop, trying it on once and saying, yeah, I'll take that home, versus actually spending 15 hours making something and having to accumulate the right colour thread, all the right notions that I needed, fitting it to my body. It's a really big commitment, and it makes you pause and go, do I really freaking want this? So anyway, that's why I did the Year of Make Do, and I'm doing it again this year. If you watched last year, I have new rules this year that are slightly tweaked to consider the fact that I've already done a year of it, and also just what I learned from the rules that I set last year and how I think that they might fit better into my life if I adjust them in the following ways. So you have landed in my rules section of the My Year of Make Do project. I've made a whole playlist actually of all the videos I've made so far, and I plan to update you a lot during 2025. So if you would like to strap in and be in for that journey, please hit subscribe, because it's going to be a fun one, I think. So what are my rules for 2025, you ask? Very good question. I'm going to go through them now, and I'm going to explain why they're good rules for me. And if you're also doing this challenge, which I hope you are, and you're following on with the hashtag My Year of Make Do on Instagram, so I can see what you're doing. If you are also doing it, hopefully my rules will help you think about what your rules could be, and either go, yeah, I like that one, I'm going to copy Lena, or you're going to go, hell no, I'm actually going to do the opposite of what Lena's saying. That would not suit my life at all. All is fair in love and war. Let's get going with my personal rules. The first rule is know what you set out to do. So I've written a little kind of mission statement of what I think my Year of Make Do is about. Yours might be a little bit different to mine, but this is mine. A year of slow, considered wardrobe flux, making do with what I have and making intentionally along the way. So whenever I have a question that is outside of these rules, or I'm not sure, or I come to a crossroads and I'm like, God, what do I do? If I can go back to that little manifesto and be like, okay, is this going to help me have a slow, considered wardrobe that is in flux? Am I adding intentionally to my wardrobe? Is there a way that I can make do with what I have? Or is there a way that I can make what I'm making more intentional? I find that having a really good understanding of why you're doing something helps you understand why you might need to tweak the rules as the year goes on, or why if you break a rule, why you did it. Is it actually against your manifesto, or is it just an expansion of your manifesto, or a different way of seeing it? I think it's really good so we don't think about passes and fails when it comes to self-imposed challenges like this. Number 2, items that are not welcome. Obviously, there are the obvious things like dresses, tops, jackets, all of that stuff. It's a no. However, I also felt the need at this point to list some other things that are also not allowed, just so I clarify with myself. And it's also a thing that I get asked a lot when I talk about doing this challenge. No socks. No, sir. I still didn't make socks last year, but I did learn to darn. So I actually have a very healthy sock collection at the moment because of my darning practices. I don't feel the need to add any more socks to my wardrobe this year, just because I'm getting kind of arrogant about my darning skills. I'm not gonna lie. Knickers. Knickers is something that I would love to make this year, and I think is a really useful skill to do, especially because I can never find good knickers that are like to my taste specifically. So we're not allowed to buy any of those. If I want them, I've got to make them. Coats is another one that's like a bit ambiguous, but I think if I really needed a coat, I could make a coat, she says, chanting to herself, I could make a coat. I could. But also I know for me, I have enough coats to last me 2025, and there's no real reason for me to add a coat to my wardrobe. And lastly, fabric accessories. So this is like scrunchies, headbands, tote bags, things that would be made out of fabric were I to buy them. They're honestly things that I probably could make, and therefore they are not allowed to be introduced into my wardrobe. Last year, I didn't include bags at all. I did end up only accumulating one bag anyway, so I don't think my bag consumption is out of control, but I do think my tote bag's consumption is out of control, and you can watch a whole video about that up here where I did a whole deep dive into the problem with tote bags. So I thought I wanted to add that whole like fabric accessories of any kind into my rules because goddamn I can't accept any more. Please, let the tyranny of the tote bags end. Number 3, things that are welcome in the wardrobe despite this ban. These are things that I don't think I have any problem consuming, like that I never overconsume them, and they're things that are very hard to make. And while obviously I will probably lean to buying secondhand anyway, it's worth noting that they're not on the naughty list. They're not things that I'm restricting myself with this year, technically. Belts, shoes, tights, hair accessories like clips and stuff, jewellery, and 2 things that I actually were banned last year, but I have had a better understanding of myself and are reintroducing onto the not naughty list this year are bras and support tops. Now, I'm not a big lover of bras. I do not overconsume them in any way. My bra drawer is sad and saggy and not something where I think I overindulge myself in any way. But I did notice this year that because my size has changed, I did felt like, without oversharing on the internet, I felt like I needed a bit more support in certain situations, and I wasn't getting that from the current bras that I've got. And it wasn't something where I had the urge to go out and buy like 10. I was like, I literally just need 1. Maybe 2. And another thing is support tops. I have 1 or 2 of these very like intensely elasticated tank tops that basically essentially for me function as bras, and I really overwore them last year. Like I love them so much, I'm wearing them into the ground, and I don't think they're things that I'm going to overconsume, but they are things that just for like the health and the well-being and the comfort of my boobs would be good to have a few more in my wardrobe in rotation, because I was washing them like every couple of days in the summer because they got so sweaty. So yeah, that's something again that for me, I'm like, I don't think that's a problem for me. And I think again, because hugely supportive specific bras are quite hard to make or find the fabric for, then yeah. But I think I envision myself, if I needed like a t-shirt bra or a bralette, I would still like to make one myself, and this doesn't prohibit me from making those myself. So I may still try making a bra in 2025, but like let's start slow. I got a bit excited last year. Let's start and just actually get around to making knickers and socks, shall we? Number 4, I can accept clothes as gifts, but I am not allowed to ask for them. This is pretty straightforward. I don't think it's bad if somebody buys me a gift of like a piece of clothing, especially if it's something that I'm going to love. It's very rare that people ever do, but I don't want to be somebody who's going to turn that down or be like, no, fuck you, if you buy me something like that. I think that's fine. The only point is that I'm not allowed to ask for them, because I feel like that would be cheating, because I'd be stipulating what I want in my wardrobe and what, you know what I mean? Like that would just be like me buying clothes by proxy almost. So I think there's a danger there. However, like good examples of this being like a really nice moment was last year I had this rule, and Rosianna, my friend, was getting rid of a top that I had always loved on her and complimented her on, and like we both really like this brand, and she mentioned that she was getting rid of it, and I was like, no, don't get rid of that top, it's so good. And then for my birthday, she presented me with a little package, and I opened it and it was the top. And that's something that I'm like, great, it's secondhand, it's something that I'm really, really keen on. It was a really lovely gesture and I wear it all the time. So yeah, that's an example. 5, I can borrow and rent as much as I like. I actually have a top from one of my best friends that is on like long-term loan. She was like, I don't know how to style this. I do like still like it. I don't want to part with it, but I just at the moment is stressing me out to have it in my wardrobe, and like, can you work out how to style it for me? Do you want to borrow it and see? And I was like, yes. So I have that top with me right now that I'm really loving and I'm borrowing, and it's not a permanent part of my wardrobe, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. And I think like a lot of the time we need to see our wardrobes as more connected as they are. And that is a really great way of slowly and in a very considered way interacting with your own wardrobe and like our collective community wardrobe. So I'm totally fine with any borrowing or renting. I didn't do any renting last year though. I didn't know where. Do you know what I mean? Like, if anybody's got any tips in the UK of like where to rent clothes that is like good, let me know, because it's something that I have used a rental service once before and it was really good and it was really sustainable and it shut down. And then since then I've just been like, don't know how to do that, don't know what's good, scared of renting clothes, to be honest. So let me know if you had a good experience with that and what you did. In fact, do you know who I should ask? That the Gumption Club always know, which is a segue into just reminding you that I have a Patreon that is called the Gumption Club, and we have a really lovely Discord as part of it. And in the Discord, we have a Consult the Hive Mind forum where anybody can ask any question. And because there's so many of us in there, and we're from all over the world and from different walks of life and loads of different professions and experiences, I've never put a question in that box that somebody in the Gumption Club hasn't been able to answer. It's absolutely insane. So anyway, if you would like a lovely gumption-filled online community who are also about slow fashion and slowing down our consumption, do consider joining us on the Patreon. It's incredibly wholesome. And at the moment, I am also leading a Hamnet read-along. So if you're interested in like reading in community online as well, we do that a lot. And at the moment, the order of the day is Hamnet by Maggie O'Farrell. Where were we? Aha, number 6. I'm tweaking my rules slightly. After much consideration, I am going to be introducing coupons into each season of the year where I am allowed to introduce ready-to-wear items into my wardrobe incredibly carefully and with much thought. This is because I actually think this is something I want to carry on long term, and I'm experimenting with letting myself add small things to my wardrobe. And because I did this challenge last year, I do feel a little bit of pent up energy that's just like, I would like to add, just buy one thing on Vinted like once. So this is a way to prevent me from breaking my promise this year and like giving myself a little bit of a valve to do that in certain situations where I think it's necessary. Situations that arose this year was that there are certain fabrics I'm not very good at sewing with yet. There are 2 or 3 items in my wardrobe that are on constant rotation that I absolutely love, that are made out of stretch mesh fabric, and I've tried sewing with it before and I'm finding it really hard as a beginner. So that's something that I probably would use for one of these tokens should I want one. And then also like it's really hard to find leopard print fabric, and I love leopard print, but finding good, like looks nice, genuinely good quality leopard print fabric seems to be like borderline impossible in this day and age. I've tried all of last year. It was very sad because I wear a lot of leopard print and I know that anything that gets introduced into my wardrobe that is leopard print gets completely overworn. Like it's always like my most worn items. And I had to get rid of quite a few items last year because my body had changed sizes and I didn't want them in my wardrobe anymore. So they're the kind of examples of things where I'm like, I would use my tokens for that, but I'm going to use them very carefully. And I also like saw a few posts on Instagram from small businesses being like, everybody seems to be doing no buy years and like please consider maybe instead buying from small brands. And again, I'm not against like new clothes that are from small businesses or ethical, like good B Corp certified businesses, because I want to support them. They need to, like, as part of the clothes ecosystem, they need to exist. So again, like, I would consider spending my tokens on like small businesses that I really love. So yeah, it's going to be 2 per season. I'm going to tell you a lot exactly what I spend the coupons on and show you and explain why. So I have somebody to answer to. You can keep me accountable that it's still within my remit of trying to have a slow, considered wardrobe. And these coupons, like 2 per season, can be carried between seasons, but no more than 1 season. So like, I can't borrow coupons in January from June, like from the summer coupons, that can't happen. But I could borrow one from spring and then like pay the price of not having anything in spring. And then, so if I end up spending like all 8 coupons in the first 3 seasons and I don't have anything in winter, that's on me. That's a choice that I am free to make, and that wouldn't be butchering the rules. But yeah, I don't want to just allow myself to spend all 8 tokens in January. You know what I mean? So that's the buffer. I think I would consider that a splurge rather than a slow approach, wouldn't you? Number 7, and this links to number 6, for each new ready-to-wear item that is introduced into my wardrobe, I have to get rid of 2 other items. Like for each one, there has to be 2. So I'm reducing the size, and I'm also like facing the size of my wardrobe and being like, I still need to cull this a bit and keep it down. I don't want these 8 items to like beef my wardrobe out and make it fluctuate even more than it already will do with the stuff that I am making myself. And I think putting in a little extra buffer of like a personal price there, like a consequence for spending my coupons, is healthy. Like I'm going to look at a dress and not only be like, do I want to spend one of my precious coupons on this? And also, is it worth me giving up 2 items from my wardrobe that I already have in it? There's some serious questions that are going to make me slow down and really consider my options. And of course, anything that is decluttered must be sold or donated in a very careful way. It cannot be put in the bin, or it could be upcycled, I guess. I guess I could turn it into hankies or cloths. Number 8, if you change size, you are allowed to swap the current item for an identical one through Vinted or something like that. That's a rule that I had last year, and I didn't use, but I do think it's a useful one to have in there, and I didn't run into any problems from it. So I think that's a good one, especially because I don't want to feel when my body changes size, which it often does, because I have PCOS, and I mean, I'm just a person in a body, and that's what bodies do. I don't want like an extra feeling of like failure or shame to come from the fact that my clothes don't fit and I can't add anything else to my wardrobe, or there was something special that I loved that I now can't fit into. I think that's a cool thing about the secondhand market, is that you can find identical things of like fast fashion that people have bought from years ago and just switch it out for a different size. I think that's good. Number 9. And this one I thought very, very hard about. And I actually consulted people in the Gumption Club because they are often my North Star when it comes to moral conundrums. And it's something I felt like I wanted to do very carefully. Last year, I gave up clothes completely. Part of my job online is doing this. And this involves like a lot of different moving parts. And one of my income streams, while it is a smaller one, is brand work and working with brands. And because of my year of Make Do, I turned down a significant portion of money that was offered to me from brands that I genuinely agreed with and like are B Corp certified and I want to support because of this challenge. And I feel like this year there is a way to maybe work with those brands without compromising on my main manifesto. So I talked to the Gumption Club about this and we bounced around the ideas for a while. And what I have come to myself is this solution. So if I want to work with a brand, obviously they're going to be like a good brand. If you've watched my videos on who I don't work with, the list is as long as all of our arms put together. There's a very few amount of brands that I would work with anyway. But if I do work with a brand and it is about clothes, I either have to negotiate doing an upcycle with them, like upcycling something I already have or already exists in the world and they give to me, so I can upcycle it and talk about their clothes and their mission that way. Or if new items are required to work with that brand, I have to spend my coupons on it. Like it has to be something that I would introduce into my wardrobe anyway, and it has to cost me those coupons. And I also have to get rid of 2 items every time I introduce an item. So I think that means that it extra protects me from like accepting too many clothes into my wardrobe. And I'm only accepting things that I would genuinely wear myself and like sacrifice my coupons for. You know what I mean? I doubt that there's going to be that many, to be honest. I'm thinking maybe like 2, 3 maximum instances of this within the year. But it's worth building that in because I want this to be like a long-term approach to clothes that I have. And honestly, when things are like also your job, it becomes a little bit complicated. So I understand that rule is incredibly specific and niche to me and probably irrelevant to most other people, but I wanted to put it in there anyway, just so you know what's going on. And also because like I do want like, there has to be, like I said before, part of the solution to slow fashion and stuff like that can't just be only people who can sew and have the time and the ability to sew making their own clothes, and everybody constantly just trying to bleed dry the secondhand market. Because, video essay for another day, we can't just depend on fast fashion to fuel the secondhand market. That literally can't be how that can't be how it goes. We can't do that. So there does need to be some new clothes happening that are ethically, sustainably made, beautifully made to last, and intentionally wearable items that you can wear in loads of different occasions and to lots of different stuff. So I want people to buy those items from those great brands that are actually changing the fashion industry, and it isn't a contradiction to me to tell people about those brands and like uplift them. It's actually kind of part of my scheme, part of my plan for revolution. I thought very hard about that, and that is what I am doing. And then finally, rule number 10, and I think this might be the most important one of all the rules. Just gonna put that out there. I think this is the best one. This is a new one, actually. I didn't have this rule last year. Are you ready? All items ready to wear or me-made, so like made by me, must be either size adjustable or fit me at least 3 dress sizes. I am not pissing around here. I am so sick of having 2 or 3 different wardrobes stored in my attic or stored under my bed because my body keeps changing size. Like, I'm actually kind of sick of it. So I've decided that this is now a new boundary for me. Now, I do have items that don't have any like elastic in them or stretch, but just because of the nature of the way they're designed, they look good on me at 3 different sizes. Like, they look good when they're a little bit looser, they look good when I put on a bit of weight and they're a little bit tighter, they still go over my head, like those kinds of items. I'm willing to introduce those kinds of items into my life, but mainly I want to focus on things that are ingeniously designed so that they can fit you at several different sizes, whether that's jeans with a little bit of stretch elastic in the back, or drawstring dresses where like everything's drawstring and adjustable, or wrap style dress, anything like that. I want it in my life. Even sewing with jersey, which is something that I am scared to do and I didn't do last year, and I'm going to try and do it this year. I would like to make some stretch jersey items for my wardrobe, but it scares me. But generally, I just think this is something that is so broken about the fashion world and broken about the wardrobe that I currently have, I'll be honest. Some of the stuff that I might pass on or find a new home for somehow are items that only fit me at one size, because I just don't want, I want them to be enjoyed by people who have a more consistent body size. I believe that they have a life after this house, and at the moment they're not being used most of the time. And as you can tell, I'm a bit angry about it. I'm not angry at there's nobody to be angry about. Maybe myself, maybe I'm just angry at me. But I just feel like, what is going wrong here? And that's it. There were loads. I basically didn't have use of a lot of my wardrobe last year because my size changed during that year and I wasn't able to add to it. Or if I was, I had to make it, and then I didn't have any time to make any items because I was writing the book and I was doing all this other stuff. And that became that's like, if I'm being honest, there's one point of contention where I've been really positive about my experience last year. And obviously I had such a good time that I'm doing it again this year. But one thing that I was just like, why, was that my body just changed size last year a lot, and I lost use of, I would say, about 40% of my wardrobe, and it pissed me off. So no more. Anything that comes in, like, I want to build a wardrobe that is built around me. And I'm trying to slowly accept that my body will probably not always be one size, and I'm probably going to fluctuate between a few different sizes. And I would like to plan for that rather than buy in denial. Those are all my rules. If you're doing my year of make do, I would love to hear what your rules are below, or on Instagram. I have a little template on my highlights on Instagram. If you want to go and like share them on Instagram, you can. I also have like a bingo card of things that I want to achieve this year that I've put on there, and you're welcome to do your own too. And if you're not taking part in the challenge, but you are somebody who owns a wardrobe, if you own some clothes, I'd love to hear below like what you think the problems are with the stuff you have in your wardrobe right now, and what are those hero items that you just keep coming back to, and what makes them like things that you come back to. Like, what are the qualities of those items that you think makes a good addition to your wardrobe? I'd love to hear, because I'd like to copy your notes, copy your homework, and think about what I'm going to add to my wardrobe this year and what can get in the bin. No, not in the bin. It can't go in the bin, Lena. Get in the socialist circuit of sharing clothes and circulating items forever. I'm excited to build a wardrobe I think my body deserves this year, and I hope you'll join me in this journey. I'm going to be updating you a lot, so like I said, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss a video. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, I'm going to be sharing some of my journey over there as well. Thank you so much to the Gumption Club, who make this video possible and are also there to answer my every moral conundrum whim. You can join the Patreon by clicking below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Frog Snug out.